It's always fun to look back on the last year and recognize some of the standout accomplishments in the pickleball paddle space, and 2025 was a really interesting year to do just that. We saw so many great paddle releases this year that in a lot of ways I think we've moved past the era of paddles being hit or miss in an objective sense. Instead, most paddles coming out are actually very good, and the conversation has shifted more than ever towards finding the right paddle for your game, your preferences, and your playstyle. Because of that, I genuinely think this is the best time ever to be in the market for a pickleball paddle. There's real innovation happening, there are endless solid options across every category, and a strong competition is helping keep pricing more reasonable on more paddles than we've seen in the past. So in this video, I want to cap off the year by handing out some awards to paddles that I really think stood out in 2025. I think you'll probably agree with a lot of these picks, but it's also important to remember that personal preference still plays a role here. There is no pay to play and no input from these companies. These are simply my choices. If there's a paddle that you think deserves an award that didn't make the list, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments, and definitely let me know why. I'll have links to everything mentioned in this video down below, many of which can help you save some money while also supporting the channel. So I've got 18 different award categories to run through, and for each one I'll explain exactly why I chose the winner, and in some cases I'll also mention a few other paddles that were right there in the conversation. With that, let's jump into the 2025 Pickleball Paddle of the Year awards. Start with the best power paddle of 2025, and this was a highly contested category in a year where it seemed like nearly every company primarily chased power. So much so in fact that we probably shifted the landscape of what was considered a power paddle and what fell into the all-court category. With many excellent options to hit the market, there were a lot of paddles to choose from, but I think there was really one clear winner in this category. By offering what many consider to be top-end power, a touch that is significantly more forgiving than expected, a large sweet spot, and in some ways some slightly new tech, you may have guessed it, the best power paddle of 2025 goes to the Selkirk Boomstick. I think you'll see this in many reviewers' best of awards, and rightfully so. While it demands a high price tag, it definitely also delivers a great experience in both the elongated and standard shape, and you can get a gift card when you use the code INF-PickleballBlast on your purchase. And while we will soon move on to all court, control, and various other categories, I want to take a moment to recognize the most powerful paddle. While we had many paddles enter the power category, only a few really competed in that absolute top tier of power. And I want to be sure to separate this category out because if you have the skill level and are looking for purely the top amount of power available, your search is a bit different than the best power paddle. And as such, the most powerful paddle of 2025, in my opinion, goes to the 6-0 Black Opal. While it's close, I found myself getting slightly higher power from this paddle compared to the Boomstick, and that's with a hybrid shape compared to an elongated shape. There's an adjustment period to really dial in the Black Opal if you want to use it in tournaments and things like that, but the power is undeniable. And personally, I've been playing as much with this paddle as any other lately, and I'm feeling really good with it. As I mentioned, the power paddle landscape looks much different as we wrap up the year than when we started 2025, and many paddles that would have been power paddles last year have shifted down into the all-court category in my opinion, which I think also has expanded a bit. But chasing power is not the best option for every type of player, and I still think most players are probably best served in the moment to play with an all-court leaning paddle. If you can generate your own power, they shouldn't be lacking on putaways and drives, but they keep you safer on resets, counters, and various other shots, making them more appealing for everyone. And the best all-court paddle of 2025 goes to the Honolulu Pickleball J2 FC Plus. This hybrid-shaped paddle often gets mentioned at the same time as the J2 NF, which is a great paddle in its own right, but the FC Plus, along with its multi-density pivoting foam core, offers more forgiving touch while still providing good power. The hybrid shape comes with a great sweet spot and has been well loved by many players, and you can bring the cost of this paddle down to just $175 with the code PBBLAST. The control paddles of 2025 were few and far between in my opinion, but I think they still have a place in the market and often find testing a control paddle to be a nice reprieve that helps me focus on some aspects of my game that need more attention. And like power and all court, we're in the midst of a scale shift, so where you draw the line between control and all court is a bit of a personal opinion, but my top control paddle of 2025 goes to the Pickleball Apes Harmony. This paddle felt great right out of the box, and as mentioned was a nice break amongst the constant pursuit of power that I had been seeing. I played primarily with the hybrid shape, but it's available in all three shapes, and you can save some money with the code Pickleball Blast. Power, all court, and control are easy categories to tackle as they are naturally existing categories in the market, so let's transition to another existing set of categories, paddle shapes, starting with the best hybrid paddle. Hybrid is usually my shape of choice, and I played a lot of them this year. There were some excellent options like the Honolulu J2NF and FC+, the 11624 Power Series, the new Carbon 4 shapes, and others, but in my opinion, nothing tops the winner of this category that has for the most part been my main since its release. I know it's gotten tons of praise from many reviewers and other players alike. The best hybrid paddle of 2025 goes to the Bread and Butter Loco. Another dual density foam core build, the Loco delivers a powerful and poppy strike with good dwell time, a solid sweet spot, and a great feel to it. It's available in other shapes as well, but the hybrid has been my preferred shape. It's still tough to get one, but keep an eye on the Bread and Butter social media, as well as my Instagram at the Pickleball Blast, to know when they're dropping another batch. It retails for $200, but it comes down to just $180 with the code Pickleball Blast, which I think is an excellent deal. Moving on to the best elongated paddle of 2025, and this had some great competition as well. I think on any given day at my local courts, the majority of players are using an elongated paddle, so this tends to be the prioritized shape for a lot of companies. We honestly saw excellent elongated paddles from so many brands: Selkirk, Franklin, Enhance, Carbon, Thrive, Bread and Butter, honestly so many others that I'm probably forgetting off the top of my head, but one paddle stood out to me here. My winner for the best elongated paddle of 2025 goes to the Honolulu J6 FC+. Now, I would say you could almost interchange the J6 NF here as well, as it really depends on personal preference and play style, but I've been consistently wowed by the J6 FC+. It also uses that dual density foam core with EPP foam in the center and an EVA foam ring around it, which I think we're kind of seeing a theme here for 2025 a little, and it delivers good power, a great feel to the paddle, excellent spin, and really felt like I could excel in all areas of my game. The thing that stood out most to me though was the sweet spot on this paddle. It's a huge sweet spot in my opinion, which makes the paddle more forgiving and increases the percentage of shots that you hit that do exactly what you expect them to do. We saw this originally on the hybrid version of this paddle as well, but having such a large sweet spot on an elongated shape gives it a leg up on a lot of other elongated paddles to hit the market, and you can pick one up for just $175 when you use the code PBBLAST. And to close this section out, let's talk about standard shape paddles. This is not the shape that I typically play with, but a few standard paddles have won me over in the past. The shape offers typically a more forgiving experience with high stability and a large sweet spot, and the winner of this category is no different. While you might give up a little bit of power, that's not even always the case, and you often replace that with a high twist weight and lower swing weight, which can be great for many players. The best standard shape paddle of 2025 for me goes to the Vatic VSOL Pro. I actually would have probably given this to the Vatic Saga Pro 14mm had the VSOL not come out, but it's hard to beat a paddle that offers good hand speed, power, stability, and more, all at an incredibly low price point at just $99 after using the code Pickleball Blast. Now let's get into a handful of categories that are a little all over the place, but all highlight some excellent paddles and gear from this year, starting with the best Gen 3 paddle of 2025. We saw a transition in 2025 to Gen 4 foam core paddles, but that didn't mark a definitive end of the Gen 3 paddles that took 2024 by storm. For various reasons, some companies chose not to pursue foam cores and some chose to do both foam and polypropylene cores. This was a tough choice for me really between two paddles, so I want to be sure to mention the runner-up for me, which was the Thrive Fury. But ultimately, I have to give the award for Best Gen 3 Paddle of 2025 to the 11624 Alpha Pro Power Series. This paddle was the follow-up to their incredibly popular Power Series, offering a very similar power level with a slightly more forgiving touch. This paddle comes in all three shapes and feels really good out of the box. If foam is not for you, or maybe you haven't tried a Gen 3 paddle, I think you would be doing yourself a disservice to not give the 11624 Alpha Pro Power a try. It retails for $200. You can save some money by using the code Pickleball Blast, and if you catch it right, depending when this video releases, they have had these on sale off and on throughout December, bringing the price down even lower. 2025 was a year of innovation in the space, from big changes to small changes and everything in between. We saw the shift to foam cores and various takes on that. We still saw some changes to polypropylene cores, and we saw a bunch of other subtle introductions to the paddle space that changed the game in 2025 and will continue to impact things going forward. I think it's important to recognize that, so the award for the best tech innovation in the pickleball space goes to the Carbon True Foam Genesis. While we've seen some excellent foam cores come out in 2025, the fact is that the True Foam Genesis in many ways started that trend, being the first foam core paddle to hit the market. It's been nearly a year since the Genesis launch, and it is still a paddle that I'm happy to pick up and play with, and maybe took up most of my time this year as a main paddle. It definitely has its quirks, no doubt, but I love this paddle still to this day, and the tech they introduced to the market has paved the way for many more advances this year and beyond. To take things one step further, I think it's also important to recognize the advances beyond just foam core and to acknowledge some of the great takes that we've seen on that concept since. There are a few that really stood out to me here. The foam cores with the EVA foam ring have delivered so many good paddles in 2025. Pickleball Ape's flexible foam core with its horizontal cuts is an interesting concept that I think will open doors even more down the road possibly, and Enhance's unique take on the EVA foam ring with the Duo all come to mind, but the winner for the best new core technology goes to the Honolulu NF series. Available in multiple shapes, this uses their notched foam technology that fits together like two puzzle pieces. While I can't speak to the science behind it, something here just works, and it works well. The J2 NF is an incredibly popular paddle, and the J6 followed closely in its footsteps. Honolulu is on the list of companies that are truly innovating, which is good for everybody, and the NF core is both unique and performs great. I'll also take this moment to give the J2 NF specifically the award for the best sweet spot of 2025. I talked about it a bit earlier, but a large sweet spot improves every paddle related aspect of your game and offers a helpful forgiveness and predictability every time you hit the ball. And while there were definitely a lot of paddles with really solid sweet spots this year, in fact, I think in 2025, this year was maybe the biggest leap in power paddle sweet spots. I don't think any beat out the Honolulu J2 NF, and I feel like that's what most paddles coming out are constantly compared to. While we saw paddles break into new territory price-wise, I'm looking at you, Boomstick, and a general rise of pricing with many paddles hovering around that $180 to $200 price point, we also saw some excellent paddles come out at a lower price point. Notably, anything from Vatic Pro, including the VSOL Pro and Powerline, the Rhombus Quana, which I actually have yet to play with, and probably some others, but the best value paddle of the year for me goes to the Luz Cannon. That's not to say that those other paddles I mentioned aren't great, they definitely are, but I need to recognize Luz here somewhere for sure, and this just feels right. The Cannon plays a lot like a YOLO Pro 4, and you are getting yourself quite a lot of paddle for just $100 after using the code Pickleball Blast. Luz has been on fire in the second half of 2025 with the Cannon, Inferno, and more, but the Cannon at this price point is a great option for a lot of different players, and you really can't go wrong there. While we saw a lot of great paddles come out from brands that are well known for years of great paddle releases, we also saw some companies really put their foot on the gas and ramp things up in 2025 with multiple great releases, cementing themselves as a more household name in pickleball paddles. We saw Luz Pickleball turn things around like I mentioned. We saw Chorus continue to drop some solid paddles, and some new companies like F&B hit the market, and RPM as well. But the award for the most improved brand for me goes to Enhance Pickleball. Maybe best known for the Dinkmaster and their popular videos on YouTube, Enhance had a couple paddles under their belt in the past years, but marked 2025 with two incredibly solid releases in the Gen 4.5 and the Duo. Both are foam cores with their own unique take, and each of these paddles performed well, felt great and consistent, and delivered at a very approachable price point. They saw praise from many reviewers, and I'm excited to see them build on this in 2026. And while we are always chasing paddle stats like power, spin, pop, and more, and those are all very important, looks often fall to the wayside. But as somebody who cares about the visuals of their paddle, it would be a shame to not recognize great design. Everything from blank black paddles to extremely over-the-top designs seems to hit the market every year, and there's a lot of personal preference when it comes to design. This was a very tight decision for me, and the runner-up would probably go to the Bread and Butter Loco. They are very well known for their marketing and design, but the winner of this category in 2025 went with an abstract pattern, colorful but not overbearing, accentuating the paddle without overdoing it in my opinion. The winner for the best looking paddle of 2025 goes to the 6-0 Coral. Available in black with pops of color, as well as a pink option and blue option. I love the color choices that fit the branding and the paddle name, and I'm particularly fond of the subtle pattern that covers the face of the paddle. And while it wasn't part of the requirements for the award, it also is just a really solid paddle, which doesn't hurt. Now, a lot of my job here at Pickleball Blast is testing paddles. I'm constantly switching up what I'm playing and putting paddles through their paces to deliver relevant info to all of you. But I also like the game of pickleball, and I love it when I just straight up enjoy hitting with a certain paddle. At the end of the day, this game is meant to be fun, and certain paddles feel like a chore sometimes to get through, while others are a complete joy, even if they aren't the right fit for my game. And in keeping with the fun of the game of pickleball, it's important to recognize those paddles that just make you smile when you pick them up. So the winner of the most fun paddle of 2025 goes to the Franklin C45. Originally released as a hybrid shape and later as the elongated dynasty shape and standard tempo shape, the C45 is just plain fun. It's lightweight, whippy, poppy, and while it's been a while since I've hit it, I actually couldn't believe that the original C45 was a 2025 release. It's just one of those paddles that, especially when you really dial it in, it's just a really rewarding experience. And with most of the paddle-specific awards out of the way, that brings us to the biggest award of the year. The top of the top, the best paddle of 2025. The paddle that wins this award for me has to play well, has to have encouraged me to put a lot of time on it, not only because it's a great paddle, but also because I enjoy playing with it. Has to be setting the standard in a sense that I will be comparing other paddles in the future against it. And all that to say, it really needs to check a lot of boxes. And the winner, I don't think will come as much of a surprise because I think you'll see a lot of other paddle reviewers echoing the same sentiment. The best pickleball paddle of 2025 goes to the Bread and Butter Loco. I feel like this paddle delivers high-end power with a feel that remains so consistent to me. It uses the EPP core with EVA foam ring setup that we've seen from many paddles this year, but to me this was the best feeling paddle. I had the power to win points, but just felt so consistent with placement, spin, and everything else that I'm looking for in a paddle. Now, before we wrap this up, I do want to take a quick step back and remind everybody that while this video is about paddle awards, pickleball isn't just about paddles. There's a whole ecosystem of gear that impacts how you play, how you travel, and how much you enjoy your time on the court, and 2025 brought some standout options there as well. My paddles would not get from place to place if not for the right bag, and there are a lot of bag options available. From small slings to huge tournament bags, I feel like I'm always keeping my eyes open for the right bag to check all the boxes that I need and really fit the mold of what would work well for 99% of players. And I think I really found that this year. The winner of the best pickleball bag of 2025 for me goes to the ADV Flex bag. With excellent organization, an incredibly convenient external shoe storage and exterior paddle slot, as well as a ton of interior room and good color options, this bag has been my go-to from the moment that I got it. It checks all the boxes for me and sells for around $200 after using the code Pickleball Blast, and I think it is the best bag currently on the market for most people. On that note, most times a paddle makes it out of the initial testing phase with me and into the phase where I'm going to play it the next handful of days. It usually gets an overgrip. Some factory grips are better than others, but this helps me keep things a little more consistent and is honestly just my preferred feel. There's tacky grips, there's dry grips, there's probably other options too, and I haven't tried every overgrip on the market. I actually have a handful of brands that I really like, but find that I really have one tried and true brand that I keep going back to. They have excellent color options, good prices, and of course, a great product. My award for the best overgrips of 2025 goes to Bodhi Pickleball. I personally use their tacky grips, but if dry grips are your thing, they've got you covered there as well. And you can save 15% on any order over on the Bodhi Pickleball website with the code Pickleball Blast. So that wraps up my 2025 Pickleball Awards, and looking back on everything we just covered, this year really reinforced something that I've been feeling more and more every month. There are fewer truly bad paddles than ever before, and choosing the right paddle is now far more about fit than about chasing a single stat. If you're somebody who wants maximum power and already has the touch and consistency to control it, there were some incredible options this year that pushed the ceiling of what power even means in pickleball. If you're an all-court player, which I still believe is where most players are best served, the category has never been deeper or more forgiving. And if control is your priority, even though it feels like it's a smaller slice of the market right now, there are still paddles that absolutely shine in that role. We also saw some really clear themes emerge in 2025. Foam cores went from being an experiment to being a major driver of innovation. Sweet spots got bigger, forgiveness improved, and companies started thinking more holistically about how paddles actually play instead of just how they spec out on paper. At the same time, pricing stretched kind of in both directions, with some premium paddles pushing the top end while others delivered absurd value for the money on the lower end. And for me, that's what made this year so exciting. Whether you're a newer player looking for your first real paddle or somebody who's been playing for years and wants something a little more dialed in for your game specifically, there's never been more choice or more genuinely good choice than there is right now. As always, these awards reflect my experience, my playstyle, and what stood out to me over the course of the year. If you think a paddle, a brand, or a piece of gear deserve recognition that I didn't mention, I'd genuinely love to hear about it down below in the comments. Those conversations are a big part of how this channel continues to evolve, and I love interacting with all of you. I'll have links to everything that we talked about down below, along with a discount code where available, which will help you save some money while also supporting this channel. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it, subscribe if you're not already, and stick around because 2026 is shaping up to be another really interesting year in pickleball, and I'm excited to see where things go next. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the court.